as I said, from the dispute regarding the constitution to economic development. After the reconciliation, the country will be settled down, and then we can move to 2008 election local government. From there, we will go to 2009 assembly election.
Shams Badri, are you as optimistic? Could economic development drown the religious hatred?
Well, to a certain extent, yes, I do believe in that. And unfortunately, oil has been always a curse for Iraq since the past until now. And it's worth remembering that when the American troops came into Baghdad, it's to everybody's surprise, the only ministry that took the higher importance and the protection was the Ministry of Oil, while the Iraqi Museum and other ministries were left loose for looting, thefting, everything, okay? So I also wondering why the American ambassador or the economic advisor, whoever he is, I mean, by what right he's advising us or telling us how he thinks that how to run our fortune, how to run our wealth. It's not his right, it's Iraqis' people right only.
Ambassador, there's the question, by what right do you advise them?
I serve as a member of an embassy to a sovereign country. Obviously, the decisions about the oil law are those of the Iraqi people, as expressed by the Iraqi Council of Representatives, their parliament. We're not imposing anything. I think it's instructive for the viewers that the first private investment in oil development in Iraq is by a Norwegian company using Chinese oil rigs. The United States is not trying to impose some sort of special provision of law or practice to serve to be the advantage of American companies. We want oil to be developed in Iraq because well, we want the oil to be developed because the oil to be developed because the.
Sorry to interrupt you, but she's coming back.
I'm sorry, I can see a lot of contradiction over here. I mean, the gentleman says that they are not imposing laws or whatsoever. By what right? When you invaded Iraq, you dissolved the army, you dissolved all the security entities, okay?
But forgive me, I mean, just not in any way rejecting that, but somehow that has happened. It happened. Do we not have to build on what is now and draw on whatever you can find?
They destroyed the country. By what right?
This is the consequences of what happens, you see. I mean, if you select a weak government because they select sectarian parties and political group unable to implicate its condition on the north, and the American we said we are encouraging the extracting oil from the north. It means that they are working on different aspects to divide Iraq.
I'm going to leave it there because we're going to come back to much of this in the third part of the program. After the break, from oil to Iraq's second most precious resource, her people. But with 5 million displaced, how are they to be engaged in the vast task of rebuilding their country? We talk to some who will never go back, and others desperate to be enabled to do so. In Baghdad, relatively better security has come at a price, with Shias and Sunnis now living apart in separate neighborhoods. But outside their own countries, in cities like Damascus and right here in Amman, exiles from both groups live side by side, united by the adversity they've suffered together in their homeland. Indeed, I haven't asked anybody here whether they are Sunni or Shia, and I'm not going to. In Jordan, Iraqi refugees have established themselves as better off. They're entrepreneurs, just the sort of people that Iraq needs back home. But will this valuable human resource make its way home or stay put? A cooking gas delivery on Iraqi Street, Little Baghdad. For all the world, a slice of down-at-heel life on any Baghdad street. Except it isn't. This is Damascus. You're Iraqi? Syrian. Iraqi?
Iraqi.
Baghdad?
Baghdad.
Aha. Babylon. You're a Shia. Yeah? This is home to perhaps 1 million Iraqi refugees. All classes of men and women are here. You are Sunnis? Sunnis. And they are Shia? No problem. No problem. No Baghdad-style blast walls here to keep communities apart. They are as they once were at home, interdependent. Salam alaikum. Anas was a social worker in Baghdad. She has borne terrible adversity, the loss of home, a child disappeared, and today an existence far removed from the university-educated life she once enjoyed.
There are some people who want just to survive anyway. When the security will become, they are down there in Iraq, they want to return to their homes. For me, no, I'm not thinking about returning. I'm thinking about raising my children, make them have the highest education they can get, return back home, rebuild their country. Because nobody will rebuild Iraq, only the people of Iraq.
In the centre of town, at the UN feeding centre, I find the manager of the Baghdad-Basra railway searching for the code that will give him food and cash.
Of the railway line? Yes.
A highly skilled manager who has fled Iraq for his life, who now has nothing.
Yes, money they don't give me. Why don't know?
The International Organization for Migration estimates more than 5 million Iraqis have left their homes, more than 2.7 million displaced internally, more than 2 million Iraqis have fled to Syria and Jordan, and thousands more elsewhere. In Jordan, the Iraqi refugees tend to be the better off entrepreneurs and business people who, because of their skills, are allowed to work. Jalal Abu Ali runs a bakery and a restaurant. He bakes Iraqi bread, for which there is high demand.
For most Iraqis, it's hard to work here without permission. But if you can work here, you can get an excellent income.
Jalal wants to go back, but if not, he'll move on to Europe or beyond. Well, now let's go back to our discussion, and I want to call in now Nasur Majali, ex-Jordanian information minister, once ambassador to Baghdad. And in our poll, we found that many respondents felt that Jordan hadn't actually done enough, even though you are hosting perhaps 1 million refugees here.
Do you think that the occupation did a lot to the Iraqis? From what I hear today, you are not thinking of Iraq as a nation, but an oil field. You are not thinking of Iraq as a nation or a people. You are thinking of Iraq only as a battlefield. Unfortunately, if you are going to look forward, you have to solve the problem with the Iraqi people. Even if when you talk about the Iraqis, you talk about Al-Qaeda, which is a small group. The problem is political. And now you asked our colleagues here that the government is weak. Who made this government? Who put this government?
So where do we go from here?
Government.
Where do we go from here? How do you move on from here?
From here, you have to go back to step one. The occupation tried to prevent the neighboring Arab countries to interfere in Iraq, and they gave all the space for Iran to interfere in Iraq. The winner in Iraq is Iran, not the United States. I think the only victory that the United States could do is to reconcile the three parties, the Sunnis, the Shia, and the Kurds. The political government now is sectarian. It's refused by a lot of people there.
Yes.
They have to go back and amend the constitution. They have to go back to make a balanced government. They have to go back and...
That very much confirms exactly what Dr. Mehdi said at the beginning.
With the people of Iraq. They don't deal. They don't care if 1 million is killed or 500.
You raised a very interesting.
Are left their homes.
You raised an absolutely critical issue there, and that's the question of Iran. Now, Professor Yoram Metel, you are an Israeli professor from Ben Gurion University. The argument is that actually what the Americans did was to let Iran's influence go like a prairie fire across the Shia areas and sectarianized Iraq. Do you see that?
Of course I see that, and I think that it's much more than this. I think that we are, if you take the Israeli-Palestinian context into this discussion, you obviously could see that we have now two options. One, most likely more violence and more fighting between Israel and the Palestinians, mainly with Hamas. I think this is a wrong way, but this is the official stand, and this is the official reading of the influence of the Iraqi war on Israel. It is, in Israel's eyes, permissible to use unproportional mighty and arms against your political enemy rather than settling conflicts, for example, with the Palestinians, which I think the bottom line was or still is.
Do you think it's increased the likelihood of conflict with Iran?
I think yes. I think that in many ways the Israeli perception and the American perception are pointing out a big finger, bold one, on the Iranians, and this is, of course, something that will stay with us for the next.
Dr. Chalab.